As a country and as a culture, we've battled gender role conditioning for generations. And while we've made certain strides of progress as a society, a long road lies ahead. And for the better part of the last decade, Ariel, India's leading detergent brand, has been sparking meaningful conversations aimed at driving equality in the division of household chores by urging partners to share the load. And in the process, the Share the Load campaign has become a modern-day movement that's urging couples to share the load, strengthen their relationship, and form a stronger bond. With that, I welcome you to our televised special feature, Ariel presents See the Signs, Share the Load, partnered by Times Network. Ariel recently launched the latest edition of its Share the Load initiative with a groundbreaking campaign film, aptly titled See the Signs, Share the Load, aimed at encouraging more men to do their share of household duties to make for a happier married life. Let's have a look.
अरे आ गई तुम जरा पर्स और
आ गई बेटा अरे चलो देर हो रही है मूवी शुरू हो जाएगी मामा
मैं नहीं आ रही हूँ मुझे बहुत काम है आप लोग जाइए
पापा आर यू गाइस ओके झगड़ा हुआ है क्या
हमेशा झगड़ा होता है ये तो कुछ और ही है एक अजीब सा डिस्टेंस है We have been growing apart for quite some time. It is like...
It's like a silent separation.
Yes, it is like a silent separation. I have been thinking... पता नहीं मैंने ऐसा क्या किया
Papa, you know I love you both equally. May I say something? मामा अपना ऑफिस और घर और मेरा स्कूल और कॉलेज सब अकेले संभालती थी. Mama has just been giving and giving for so long that I'm afraid maybe she's just given up.
I ended up taking your mom for granted. Picture कल देखिए. I am really sorry. अब समझ में आ रहा है कि अगर साथ रहना है तो साथ देना भी है. Can we start again? Please.
फिल्म कैसी रही?
किसने देखी? तो घर वापस लौट आए।
सच?
हाँ।
Research shows that equally distributing household chores can oftentimes help bring couples closer together, whereas not doing so can create an emotional distance. And to explore this phenomenon further, Ariel recently curated a first-of-its-kind special event wherein they invited 100 house helps to share their take on the subject, given that house helps often have a unique purview of how a couple's relationship evolves over the years. In fact, as per a recent survey, 95% of house helps felt that couples are generally happier when the husband shares the load of household chores. Likewise, over 85% of house helps surveyed have observed that when husband and wife do not equally divide household chores, a distance typically sets in the marriage. To weigh in on what we just witnessed, I'm joined by a panel of highly distinguished guests. Please allow me to introduce them. We have with us clinical psychologist, author, and trauma expert, Dr. Seema Hingorani. Actress, Kishwa Merchant. Chairman and Chief Creative Officer, BBDO India, Josie Paul. So Josie, you've of course been an integral creative force behind Ariel's Share the Load campaign. Yeah. Tell us about some of the more groundbreaking takeaways that have come to the forefront as a result of this event in particular, and over the course of the campaign in general.
Most unexpected is what I would say about the event. You never thought that you would have so many orators in that session. You go into it with your own prejudice about what house helps can say.
Absolutely.
Right? But when they start speaking, they speak like people who've seen something. It's like they're eyewitnesses. They're like orators. They are so articulate. And they cry and they feel and they're so authentic. It really breaks you down. And it was just so amazing to see them talk about what they've seen and then relate it to their own lives. And that's just with no practice. I think that was an eye-opener for me.
Phenomenal. And sir, over the course of the campaign in general, some takeaways that perhaps took you by surprise?
The kind of feedback we've been getting, the various WhatsApp groups that it's been circulating, and people calling you up and thanking you. Some people even saying, "Hey, Josie, is that your story?" and stuff like that. So, it's now, I think people are going to use that film on us. And like I always feel, what you try to change actually changes you.
Absolutely. Very well said. Dr. Hingorani, now coming to you. As per the footage that we just witnessed, over 85% of household helps seem to indicate that communication between couples wanes when there isn't an equal distribution of household chores. Does this ring true in the context of your practice? And what are some of the telltale signs that couples are not, in fact, sharing the load?
So when the couples don't share load, first sign is that the communication actually stops. They become more like silent partners. They will come and they will be doing different activities when we don't want them to. So for healthy relationships, for the bonding, sharing the load, sharing that, that respect for each other, that love for each other is very, very important. So the telltale signs will be actually doing, say, solitary activities, which is like very unhealthy when they come to a psychologist and we do the checklist inventory. And first thing is, what activities you do together? Right. And they're like, we don't, and they're like, completely frazzled. We don't do any activities together. I said, what about cooking together on Sundays? No. So we make them do that. So sharing the load, this concept is very, very important for healthy, absolutely, perfect co-regulation together.
It's fascinating to hear that. It's fundamental and yet still fascinating. And with that, I want to come to you now, Kishwa, because similarly, as we surveyed these house helps, over 95% of them indicated that when couples do, in fact, share an equal load of household chores, they're happier. They come closer together, right? They share an improved bond. What's your take on the role that plays in helping both partners essentially feel respected, valued, heard?
I think it plays a very important role because, it shows in the ad that we just saw कि जब नहीं, you're sharing the load, how one person becomes totally silent. and is not wanting to share, her emotions and what she's going through exactly to the partner. But when you speak about it, or even if you don't, and the partner understands you and, kind of shares the load with you, it makes a lot of difference because your relationship gets stronger. The bond is so much better and thicker. And I think you can just make out. And, all this kind of leads to a very happy marriage, a healthy marriage, positive vibes, in your home. And for everybody who's staying in that house, for everybody around you also, just feels the positivity with you. So I think it is very, very important to share the load because it just matters so much to both the partners.
I just want to bring in something. Please. Is that if you saw the movie, if you saw the thing, what did the woman feel? She felt visible. She felt seen. She felt heard. So I'm visible, I'm seen, I'm heard. That forms a connect. Not the connect of the mind, but the connect of the heart, which we need for the essence of the marriage or a relationship, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. And coming to you now, Josie, you of course had a critical role to play in conceptualizing Ariel's latest, See the Signs, Share the Load campaign film. To what extent do you believe that the underlying message of the campaign has in fact resonated with the general public?
One of the first signs is that it's like being viewed, there's a lot of views happening of it. Right now on YouTube itself, it's crossed 20 million views. And from what I've heard across all social media, it's almost touched 60 million views. So clearly it's moving fast and people are sharing it. So that's the first sign. The other is, like I said, the kind of messages you get from the industry on one hand, and the other, the messages you get from people who are not part of the industry. So people who are part of the industry is telling you, hey, 8 years, how do you guys still manage to get deeper and deeper into the subject, to find new, hidden, unsaid things, right? And then the other guys who are not into part of the process, just common people say, hey, this is so true. I can see my family. I can see someone else's family. I know a friend. So the relatability quotient of this film is so high that it makes people want to share. So there's something about that connection.
So
you
I was
feel
totally
connected.
teary-eyed when I saw the film. Yeah. Even though I'm not probably going through something like that, but just to see and to feel, like you said, I could relate because I've seen probably my mother go through it.
Sure.
So it is a very powerful message.
Doctor, essentially, you've now, of course, witnessed the film. You had a lot of telltale signs that you've shared with us. So for couples that are perhaps picking up on those signs, what steps can they actually take to create a more equitable relationship? Because theoretically, it's never too late to make a fresh start. But what does one do?
It's very important that when you come home, leave your phones aside, leave your work pressure aside, leave those taxes aside, and make sure that every member of your family, especially your partner, has she or he been heard enough? Right. Are you there for their problems? What we see in our practice is people are not good listeners, Pooja. Okay. Nobody wants to listen. Oh, I'm so busy. I had a hard day at work. But maybe somebody out there who's at home, maybe she's a homemaker. Right. She must have had her own issues. Validation is very important. They say, why you want to validate? You can do your self-validation, do your self-regulation. I feel no, sometimes it's very important for our partner to validate us. And this movie, this reel is showing that in the end, he goes and he validates her. That, I understand, can we start all over again at this age? Right. That means I'm not going to let you be alone. And in my practice, what I see between partners, even though they're married, fear of being alone. So when somebody says, hey, we can start over again. I'm with you. I'm here to validate. Now I understand what went wrong. And the message is, it's never too late.
Phenomenal.
Start now.
Right. Well, I want to build on that coming to you, Kishwar. Some wonderful nuggets, some wonderful takeaways have emerged as a result of this conversation. And if we go back for a moment to the house helps surveyed, over 95% of them seem to indicate that couples that do, in fact, more equally share the load show an improved bond, and is that statistic, in your view, being given its fair due, or is it largely overlooked?
I don't think it's been given its fair due. Because it's not that I come from a perfect marriage, okay? I have also been in situations where I feel that I'm doing too much and he's not, But at the same time, there is communication. We talk about it. He understands it and he does it. So that is what makes me feel, okay, it's good. At least he's doing whatever. Like a basic thing, like I had to come here today. And, Nirvair, my 2-year-old, had to go for his summer camp. And Suyash took him there, because I wanted to first go to the gym and then come here. So he kind of understood that. So it's just very simple. I think communication is very, very important in something like this. And to also make that thing that I said is not given its due, usko pura karne ke liye, I think that communication is very, very important in today's times. And I think we can do it because we've seen our parents go through something like that, especially our mothers. I'm sure everybody would agree. So, to not be there and go through the same thing again, what is important is communication. So throw your phones and talk about it to your partners,
Well, Josie, it's been said that change starts from within. Yeah. So if we were to apply that to ourselves, do you believe that the messaging has truly resonated across all socioeconomic stratas of society? And are you now gradually beginning to witness more men demonstrate a newfound commitment towards sharing the load?
Yeah, we've done some recent survey, and when we started out in 2015, 76% men said that laundry is only a woman's job. And that number is down to 26% today. So you can see an attitudinal change. We have to now understand the behavioral change as well. But at least at an awareness level and a realization level, that has changed. So it's a good sign. It's a start.
But you know what? In my home, I have always seen my dad do laundry. Always. And Suyash also has always done laundry. So for me, it's like, I come from a home where I have only seen the men do it. Like Suyash does it now and my dad used to do it earlier. Of course, itna zyada uske baad nahi karte the, just laundry.
You belong to the other 26%.
I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a son now, so I'm going to make sure that, I teach him right from the beginning. I think that is something that I can do, and that's like going to be my input to, what I have watched today and what I feel and, how I felt watching that. So I wouldn't want his wife probably to go through the same thing.
See that's where the change begins.
Because that is how I will bring that change in me, in my home.
Absolutely. Yes. Carry on, please. Dr. Hingorani.
No, I personally believe that we are not yet there in our country. Depends on cultural deficits, depends on socioeconomic status, and it also depends on the family dynamics. But we are getting there. Because sharing the load also for me means making my emotional needs met. Right. And that was not considered, especially with gender, with women. Mm-hmm. Nobody realized what their emotional needs were. So if a husband makes a cup of tea, actually he's making her emotional needs met by saying you're important. Yes. And that change, I think our country will take few more years. Mm-hmm. But because women are getting empowered to speak about their emotional needs, they're also getting financially independent. They are like, okay, I'm tired today. I cannot make that pasta you want. Can you make it for me? Right. And the video that we just saw, this is going to empower people to understand each other's emotional needs and making them meet.
And lastly, we spoke to Chief Marketing Officer of P&G India and Vice President of Fabric Care at P&G Indian Subcontinent, Sharat Verma, who weighed in on the extent to which the Share the Load campaign has resonated with the target audience.
For us, Share the Load is really a movement, not a campaign. It's a movement aimed at bringing about change that women want to see and we all want to see. Ariel wants to not be just an ally for fighting stains, but also an advocate to stand up and raise and lend its voice to the inequality, to address the inequality that exists in the division of household chores. Ariel was one of the first brands to raise the topic of inequality in the division of household chores. We started the Share the Load movement back in 2015, and we triggered the movement by asking a very simple question: is laundry only a women's job? We wanted to draw attention to this thankless job, which was at that point, over 95% of Indian households had only women doing the laundry. So we carried that conversation forward. The first question we asked triggered a massive debate, discussion. It made the thankless job count. We carried that forward with Dad's Share the Load in 2016. We talked about conditioning and how we're passing on the prejudice from one generation to the other, and how this can impact the next generation, right? There again, we urged men and dads to share the load. We drove this further by, looking at the issue from, a few other angles, right? Are we really raising our sons like we raise our daughters? How can we raise our children differently so that we can see a more equal world? In 2020, we looked at the impact that the inequality in the division of household chores was having on the health of women. We highlighted that 71% of women were losing out on sleep because of the burden of household chores. Last year, we asked if we are truly seeing our partners as equal, right? There was amazing research which showed that 73% of men agreed that they shared the load and shared the load equally when they were staying with other men. But somehow that didn't translate to them sharing the load when in their marriage, right? So really, we thought it was really about, us looking at our spouses as equal. This year again, we're talking about the signs of inequality, right? We're looking at the long-term impact of inequality and the impact it has on one's relationship. We sometimes take things for granted, for too long, and don't realize the harm it's causing one's relationship. While we've had rich conversation and progress has been great over the years, we must remember and we are cognizant that social change takes time. Years of conditioning and bias will take time to reverse, and we need to keep at it because we know that an equal world is a better world, and to be able to achieve that better world, we need to be consistently addressing the issue, having conversation, looking at what's the barrier for us to change, because we know that an equal world is a better world for us and for our children.
With that, our televised special feature, Ariel presents See the Signs, Share the Load, powered by Times Network, comes to a close. We trust that you found the insight shared of value. Thanks for watching.